I only brought an umbrella with me when I headed out. And yet, I ended up bringing the school bell back home. At first, I only intended to let her take shelter from the rain. Unexpectedly, that very night, she started tutoring me. She even shared a bed with me. And eventually, she couldn't stay away from me anymore. Every day on my way back home, the scene of being harshly rejected by Liu Xin today kept replaying in my head. Forget it, I won't bother her anymore. Suddenly, I saw a girl sitting on the roadside steps. Her school uniform was completely drenched. She looked truly pitiful and lonely. I originally planned to just ignore her and walk past. But when I saw that girl's face, I couldn't help but be stunned. Her eyes widened in surprise, too. Her gaze was filled with astonishment. We just stared at each other for a few seconds. Then I finally snapped out of it. I spoke up and asked, "Anran? What on earth are you doing here?" She lowered her head and replied, "It's none of your business." I gave a nod and decisively turned to walk away. I'd only gone about 10 steps when I suddenly heard the sound of sobbing coming from behind. Anran bowed her head, sobbing uncontrollably. The freezing rain poured down on her, making her shiver violently from the cold. The rain grew heavier and heavier. At that moment, Anran suddenly felt the raindrops above her head seemed to be blocked. She looked up and saw Su Chen standing right there. The umbrella in my hand was sheltering Anran from the rain. I looked at Anran with an expressionless face. Anran reached up, wiping the rain and tears from her face, and choked out a question. "What are you doing? Are you trying to be a busybody? Didn't I say it's none of your business?" Anran spoke through her tears falling so fast she couldn't wipe them away. Seeing my class president crying here in the middle of the night, how could it not be my business? I took a small pack of tissues from my pocket and handed it to Anran. Anran hesitated for a moment but eventually took it. She wiped her tears and whispered, "Thank you." Seeing her body shivering uncontrollably, "My place is right nearby. Go there and warm up for a bit." As soon as I finished speaking, I reached out and pulled Anran up from the steps, startling her as she stood up. "What do you think you're doing? Leave me alone, I'm not going anywhere." Anran tried to struggle a bit, but my strength caught her off guard. She had no strength to resist at all. Come on, anyone who saw this would have to step in. Normally, I don't like meddling in other people's business either. I spoke while walking away without looking back. Anran stopped struggling. She was completely exhausted. And besides, she realized she truly couldn't escape my grasp. A little while later, I led Anran to my front door. I opened the door and walked inside. Anran stood silently at the entrance, looking incredibly awkward and confused. I looked back at her, then helplessly reached out and pulled Anran inside and slammed the door shut. With the sound of the door thudding shut, Anran felt her heart skip a beat, and even a faint sense of fear began to rise within her. I went inside, tossed a pair of indoor slippers in front of Anran, and walked straight into the bedroom. Anran stood at the door and hesitated for a long time before finally putting on the slippers and entering the living room. As soon as she entered the house, she noticed that on the shoe rack there were only Su Chen's shoes, realizing that Su Chen lived alone. And what caught her eye were various pieces of gym equipment. Now she finally understood why Su Chen had such remarkable strength. The tidiness of the living room was also far beyond her imagination. Anran was completely soaked, so she didn't dare to sit down and could only stand still. I stepped out from the inner room, wearing a set of clothes, a towel, and a hairdryer. "Here, dry yourself off first. Then dry your hair too. Change into these clothes when you're done. I don't have any new clothes here, but I've only worn these once. Just wear them for now. You can change in the bedroom." I handed those items to her and headed straight into the kitchen myself. Anran held the clothes in her hands, feeling even more awkward. She clearly wanted to refuse, telling herself to put these things down and leave this place quickly. However, my words sounded like a command that couldn't be disobeyed. Instinctively, she obeyed the moment she heard them. She dried herself briefly with a towel, then used the dryer to dry her hair. After changing in the bedroom, this was the first time Anran had worn someone else's clothes, and her face quickly flushed with embarrassment. Deep down, she kept asking herself, "What on earth am I doing? How could I actually follow a classmate all the way back to his house and even change into his clothes? Am I planning to spend the night here? Or should I just warm up for a bit and leave?" Anran opened the door and stepped out, just as I was coming out of the kitchen. I was also carrying a small table and set it on the rug. Next, I went back into the kitchen and brought out a steaming hot bowl of food, placing it on the small table. "Eat up." I didn't give any further explanation, just looked at her and spoke casually. Before Anran could react, I had already brought out a glass of warm water and put it on the table, with 2 pills placed beside it. Once finished, I moved away in the sofa area and didn't say another word to Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand sat before the small table, her mind in a whirl. Her first reaction was definitely resistance, but her body urged her to accept it. After all, hunger had already overtaken her mind. She glanced to the side. I was sitting at another table doing homework, treating her as if she were invisible. Seemingly sensing Ayn Rand's gaze, I stopped writing and said softly, "You're not usually this shy, are you? Eat. Once you're done, you can borrow an umbrella and head home." Hearing me put it that way, Ayn Rand had no more reason to refuse, and so she didn't hesitate anymore and started taking large bites, although she didn't dare make any loud noises. 10 minutes later, Ayn Rand had finished every last bit, drained the glass of warm water. Then she stood up, picked something up, and approached me. I looked up to see Ayn Rand holding a 100 yuan bill in her hand. "What's the money for? I don't want to owe you anything." I looked directly into Ayn Rand's eyes. That serious look showed she wasn't joking. I didn't take the money, but turned back to the pile of exam papers in front of me and muttered, "If you don't want to owe me, then don't give me money. Aren't you a top student? I can't solve this big problem. Show me how and we're even." Tapped the question on the paper with my pen. Ayn Rand leaned over and glanced at it, instinctively blurting out, "But this is so easy. How could you not know how to do this?" Well, my apologies. I am exactly the kind of person who doesn't know even a simple problem like this. Ayn Rand fell silent in slight embarrassment, then reached out and began to show me how to solve the problem. After finishing the explanation, Ayn Rand prepared to leave. "These clothes and this umbrella. I'll return them to you when I go to school," Ayn Rand said softly at the door. Her wet clothes had been neatly packed into a bag. Hearing her say that, I suddenly remembered Ayn Rand hadn't been to school for several days. She was Lu Xin's best friend, and because Ayn Rand had been absent lately, Lu Xin's mood hadn't been very good either. No wonder when I confessed, Lu Xin seemed very irritated. At this point, I realized something was wrong, so I frowned and asked, "Let me ask you one thing. If you leave now, do you even have a place to go?" Sure enough, just as I expected, Ayn Rand was momentarily speechless. She kept her head down and didn't say a word. I tapped my pen on the desk and said flatly, "If you have nowhere to go, then you're not allowed to leave. Do you have your phone with you?" "No." I pulled out my own phone, opened the dialer, and asked, "What's your parents' phone number? I'll call them to come pick you up." When I still didn't hear an answer from Ayn Rand, I looked up to see Ayn Rand standing there, frozen. Tears like crystals were welling up in the corners of her eyes. I quietly put my phone down, realizing the situation was truly not good. This reaction, could it be that something tragic happened at her home? Letting her cry in my house in the middle of the night, if this got out, it wouldn't be good at all. It seemed if I didn't get involved in this, it wouldn't end well. I thought of dozens of ways to comfort her in my head, but since I'm not good with words, all I could manage to say was, so what's going on exactly?" Ayn Rand sobbed for a long time, before finally choking out the whole story to me. Over a week ago, her parents were involved in a car accident and unfortunately passed away. Now she was no different from an orphan, with no relatives willing to take her in. Her grandparents on both sides had already passed away. My brow was furrowed the entire time I listened. Only now did I truly understand why Ayn Rand was sitting there crying by herself. Something so heart-wrenching, yet she was left to bear it all alone. It was truly too much to handle. "So, you don't have a home to go back to anymore?" Hearing my question, the sorrow on Ayn Rand's face grew even heavier. Looking at Ayn Rand's expression, I knew I had said the wrong thing. The room fell strangely silent, with only the sound of Ayn Rand's soft sobbing. My eyes darted around, really not knowing what to do. Ayn Rand was our class president. Not only was she brilliant, but she was also the most beloved. Always open and radiant, she was the heart and soul of the class. And yet, a person like her was sobbing her heart out in my house. If she went back to school and told the others about this, I wouldn't just become the laughingstock, but I might become public enemy number one too. Right now, I only realized one thing. No matter what, I absolutely could not let Ayn Rand leave right now. Besides, it was still pouring rain outside. Thinking of this, I stood up abruptly and walked toward her and said, "Just stay here. Wait until you find a place to go before you leave." Hearing me say that, Ayn Rand snapped back to reality and hurriedly waved her hands. No, I can't. I'm leaving right now." Before she could even finish her sentence, I suddenly caught her eye, making her feel as if she couldn't resist at all. So instinctively, she fell silent immediately. "Either you stay here, or I'll call the police so they can look after you." Take your pick. I spoke with a firm voice. Ayn Rand sniffled a few more times, blinking her still tearful eyes, and looked at me with a slightly resentful gaze. She softly asked, "When you talk to Xin Xin, do you also talk to her like this?" I opened my mouth to say something, but my gaze faltered, and I couldn't get a single word out. Her expression seemed to be telling me, "No wonder your confession failed." I hung my head gloomily, not knowing how to argue back. All my bravado from earlier had completely vanished. I looked up to see Ayn Rand covering her mouth and laughing, her eyes curving like crescent moons, even though tears still lingered there. I awkwardly pursed my lips and said, "Just stay here. Consider it me asking you a favor, okay?" These were the most sincere words that I could manage to say at that moment. I even tried to force a gentle expression onto my face. Seeing that, Ayn Rand couldn't help but burst into laughter again. I thought Ayn Rand was unintentionally mocking me, so I turned my face away, my face clearly showing my annoyance. Ayn Rand realized she had laughed a bit too much. Her laughter subsided, and then stopped completely. She spoke up. "All right, I agree with you. Thank you, but why are you helping me? Who needs a reason? If I have to say something, it's because I don't want my reputation in class to get any worse." Ayn Rand blinked in surprise, dazed for a moment before saying, "But I haven't noticed you having a bad reputation in class. The news about you is only about your confession to Xin Xin. To me, that is exactly what a bad reputation is. Aren't you afraid saying that would make Xin Xin unhappy? Whatever. From now on, she has nothing to do with me anymore." I shrugged, acting as if I didn't care in the slightest. Ayn Rand was a bit shocked and probed. "You? Don't like her anymore?" I shook my head. If something isn't reciprocated, there's no reason to be obsessed with it forever. I see. That's good then. Once she had decided to stay, Ayn Rand went to hang her wet clothes. She sat on the sofa, not knowing what to do next. She looked around for a while. Her impression of Su Chen had started to change slightly. Before, she had no idea Su Chen was this kind of person. She looked towards Su Chen and saw that I was still buried in my studies. Only a short while later, I started scratching my head in frustration, letting out impatient sighs. Ayn Rand stood up and slowly walked over, standing right next to me. Seeing me struggling with a difficult question, she reached out and pointed at the problem on the paper, beginning to explain it to me patiently. I listened intently, nodding my head every now and then. Finally, with Ayn Rand's help, I managed to solve that tricky problem. Before long, I had finished the entire exam paper. I looked at the clock. It was already past 2 a.m. I tidied up my things and looked at Ayn Rand, who was still sitting on the sofa. I said, "Go sleep in the bedroom. I'll sleep out here on the sofa. Although I'm a bit clumsy in how I handle things, at least I know that I shouldn't let a girl sleep on the sofa." But Ayn Rand repeatedly refused. She was already immensely grateful to Su Chen for letting her stay. No, I can sleep on the sofa, it's fine." "No, this sofa isn't comfortable to lie on. Just go to the bedroom." I was also very firm in my stance. Besides, this sofa wasn't suitable for sleeping at all. It's easy to fall off, and it'll give you a backache too. "Then I definitely can't let you sleep there. You're much bigger than me. Won't it be even more uncomfortable for you?" "All right, this is my house. Just do as I say." Precisely because it's your house, and you're the host, I can't possibly take the bedroom when I'm just a guest. The two of us kept going back and forth, bickering from the living room all the way to the bedroom door. Su Chen turned on the bedroom light. Ayn Rand saw the room was extremely neat and clean, not at all like a room belonging to a guy living alone. Furthermore, the bed was very wide, more than enough for two people. Seeing how persistent Su Chen was, Ayn Rand didn't want to lose either, so she made a suggestion. "How about we both sleep in the room? I'll sleep on the floor." "Why on earth would I let you sleep on the floor?" The two of them continued to argue for about another 5 minutes. Ayn Rand realized Su Chen was truly an incredibly stubborn person. She really couldn't win an argument against me. Seeing how late it had become, both of them understood that they shouldn't waste any more time arguing about this. In the end, they chose a solution that both could reluctantly accept. They would use a blanket in the middle of the large bed as a divider, splitting the bed into separate left and right halves. Ayn Rand's face flushed red again, unable to hide her shyness. She couldn't believe she had agreed to this proposal, that she would have to share a bed with a male classmate. Ayn Rand sat down on the left side of the bed, hugging her knees, her heart filled with unease. Just a moment ago, she hadn't thought that deeply into it. "I'm going to change into my pajamas." Only now did it hit her that she was, after all, a girl, and Su Chen was a guy. How could she feel safe sleeping here like this? Her sense of self-preservation was far too weak. What if Su Chen tried something? Thinking of the strength in his arms, she definitely wouldn't be able to resist. A little while later, I entered the room, wearing thin silk pajamas. The outlines of my muscles were clearly visible through the fabric. Ayn Rand only took one glance and immediately turned her face away, but her ears had already turned red. And turning off the lights. The lights in the room went out. The two lay on the bed, their backs to each other, separated by the blanket in the middle. Ayn Rand tried to shut her eyes tight, but after just a moment, they were wide open. She couldn't fall asleep at all. Her entire focus was on Su Chen on the other side of the bed. 30 minutes passed. Ayn Rand heard steady breathing, knowing that Su Chen must have fallen asleep. Once she relaxed, she gradually drifted off too. She slept very deeply, even having a dream, dreaming of her parents' figures slowly fading away. By the time she woke up and sat upright, she realized it was broad daylight. Morning sunlight had flooded the room. Ayn Rand looked to her side and saw she was the only one left in bed. Then she heard sounds coming from outside. Ayn Rand sat up in bed. Just as she stepped out of the bedroom, a delicious aroma wafted from the kitchen. That scent immediately woke up her growling stomach. She looked toward the kitchen and saw Su Chen wearing an apron, busy cooking. Ayn Rand walked closer. Just as she reached the kitchen door, I turned around, and our eyes accidentally met. Good morning. Ayn Rand whispered a greeting to me. I glanced at her and gave a soft reply. Ayn Rand saw lunchboxes placed on the dining table, filled with the dishes I had just finished preparing. Only then did Ayn Rand suddenly remember that Su Chen usually brought his own lunch to school, instead of eating at the school cafeteria. Are you preparing lunch? Why do you have to bring your own lunch? I thought the school food was okay. I answered simply, I'm from an ethnic minority, so I have certain dietary restrictions. No wonder your features look somewhat familiar. I've finished making breakfast. Go ahead and eat first. Pointed toward the table, where the hot breakfast was waiting. By this time, Ayn Rand's stomach long since been driven wild by that enticing aroma. Seeing the breakfast in front of her, her stomach protested even more loudly. Ayn Rand replied softly. She gave a small nod and sat down at the table. However, she didn't start eating right away. Instead, she sat and waited for me. Only when I had finished my work and sat down at the table did she finally pick up her chopsticks. While eating breakfast, I asked, Are you going to school? I need to go buy some clothes today, so I probably won't be back at school until tomorrow. I nodded in understanding. Then I reached into my pants pocket, pulled out a key, and tossed it down in front of Ayn Rand. That's the house key. Come back here straight after shopping. Otherwise, I won't be able to get inside. Ayn Rand looked at the key in front of her. She knew Su Chen was worried she'd have nowhere to go and might quietly disappear. She took the key and replied softly. She seemed to have understood my thoughts completely. I can't stay at Su Chen's house forever, even if he wants me to stay, but I can't be so thick-skinned as to just stay like this. But the money I have right now isn't enough to rent a place. School is the most important thing right now. I can't just drop out to work. Right now, besides agreeing to stay at Su Chen's place, there's really no other way. After finishing breakfast, I packed up and hurried out. I didn't give Ayn Rand any special instructions before leaving. Ayn Rand looked at the empty house where she was now alone, sighing to herself. Is this Su Chen really that at ease with me? To actually leave me alone in his house like this? Ayn Rand decided to help Su Chen clean up the house, since I'm staying here anyway. I should do something to help out. I'll go buy some clothes after cleaning and take the chance to wash up, freshening myself up a bit. When she reached Su Chen's gym area, looking at the dumbbells before her, she suddenly felt a bit of a headache. She had to move this pile of equipment to clean up, so she rolled up her sleeves and stepped forward, gripping the barbell with both hands, taking a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. Ayn Rand strained to push the weight aside, her face turning beet red. Goodness, why is this so incredibly heavy? I don't know how Su Chen can be so strong. After cleaning for about 20 minutes, she accidentally glanced over and suddenly saw in a hidden corner by the cabinet that there was a cardboard box. Inside, the box was filled with papers that looked like letters, along with a few small gift boxes. She squatted down and took out a sheet, and as she skimmed the contents, her eyes suddenly flickered with surprise. Could these all be love letters and gifts that Su Chen had given to Liu Xin before? Soon it was time for school to end in the afternoon, and I strode down the familiar path home. Halfway there, I passed the steps where I had picked up Ayn Rand yesterday. Sigh, I really should have asked for her phone number. What if she really left? I only have that one spare key. Arriving at my front door, I stood there and knocked. A moment later, hearing footsteps from inside, I finally breathed a true sigh of relief. Ran came to open the door. Right now, she looked completely different from the haggard appearance I saw this morning. She seemed even more radiant and beautiful. As soon as she saw me return, her eyes seemed to sparkle with tiny glimmers of light. "You're back." "Yeah, luckily you didn't leave. Otherwise, I'd have to spend 200 yuan for a locksmith to break in." Hearing me say that, Ran lowered her head and replied softly, "I promise you, so how could I just leave? By the way, do you really not have a phone with you? I'm afraid I won't be able to reach you in an emergency." I put down my bag, took out my phone, and looked at Ran. Hearing this, Ran turned her face away awkwardly, whispering, "I accidentally threw my phone into the river a few days ago. You're really something." I helplessly put my phone back into my pocket. The person standing before me now was nothing like the impression of a model-class president who cares for others, with a kind heart, gentle temperament, and an open, lively personality. She looks like a lost child right now, that I just happened to find while out for a walk. I stood up and walked into the bedroom. A moment later, I came out, holding a phone in my hand. "Use this for now. It's my old phone, but it still works great. I'll give you my second SIM card later, too. At least that way I can contact you." Ran took the phone, her face showing clear astonishment. She looked at me with an expression of disbelief. Even if it's just an old phone, the fact that he just gave it to me like this is truly touching. Why are you being so good to me?" "Is it because of Liu Xin?" Ran asked softly. In her heart, this was the most logical explanation. Could it be because I'm Liu Xin's best friend? And since Su Chen likes her, he wants to win me over? I sat on the chair looking at Ran suspiciously and asked back. Paused for a moment, silent for a few seconds, before gently shaking my head. I replied, "I don't think I'm being good to you. I just think it's what should be done. Just like you cleaning the house. For me, that's not you being good to me, but because you feel it's what you should do. Furthermore, no matter what I do, it absolutely has nothing to do with Liu Xin." I quietly sat down at my desk to study. Meanwhile, Ran sat on the sofa fiddling with a phone. She opened the photo album and saw there were still photos inside. Instinctively, she was about to exit immediately, since after all this was Su Chen's privacy. However, curiosity rose up and made her click to view those screenshots. Turned out to be old messages, and the person Su Chen was messaging was none other than her best friend, Liu Xin. Looking at the content of those conversations, although nothing was too ambiguous, it was enough to see that their relationship was once very good. At least they used to be close friends. In those text threads, Su Chen's words gradually thinned out from initial excitement to becoming sparse. Even though they were just soulless messages, but Ran could still feel the shift in Su Chen's mood, from overflowing anticipation to extreme disappointment. Ran understood the complications between the two. Liu Xin's attitude grew worse and worse, and Su Chen's messages grew shorter as well. Frequency of their back-and-forth messages gradually dwindled. No wonder she didn't understand before why Su Chen could persist in pursuing her for so long. It turns out Liu Xin was the one who gave him hope, and then she was the one who personally extinguished it. For a moment, Ran suddenly felt a sense of contempt for Liu Xin's actions. At the same time, she felt immense empathy for Su Chen. As soon as Ran looked up, she was startled, because she saw me sitting right there, pen in hand, legs crossed, silently watching her for who knows how long. At this moment, she felt extremely awkward. I spoke up calmly. "If there's anything on the phone, feel free to delete it all. There's nothing important in there." Ran heard me say that, hesitated for a moment, then obediently complied, deleting all those screenshots. After finishing the deletion, Ran borrowed a book from me and began to read as well. The two of us just sat there studying in silence. Right then, I started scratching my head in frustration, coming across some tricky problems. I really couldn't think of a solution no matter how much I racked my brain. "What's wrong? Did you hit a tough question?" Ran stood up and came to sit beside me, pointing at the question on the paper and said, "Let me show you." Finally, thanks to Ran's thorough guidance, I understood how to solve the problem. Once finished, my face showed clear exhaustion from the effort. Seeing my worn-out state, Ran covered her mouth and couldn't help but let out a giggle. Right at that moment, alongside Ran's laughter, a long, rumbling growl suddenly echoed out. Ran's laughter stopped instantly, her face going blank. I looked at Ran suspiciously and asked, "Haven't you eaten dinner yet?" Ran's cheeks flushed a light shade of pink. She stammered, "Oh, well, not yet." I let out a heavy sigh, stood up and headed toward the kitchen, saying, "Wait here." Seeing Su Chen about to cook for her, Anran hurriedly waved her hands to stop him. Oh no, don't go to so much trouble. I don't really need to eat. It's late, so maybe just forget it. I can't let you go hungry while you're here. I only gave that one reply, then walked straight into the kitchen and closed the door. After a while, a mouth-watering aroma wafted out from the kitchen. I carried out a plate of steaming hot fried rice and stepped outside. Here, eat up. And this time, Anran didn't refuse any further. Thank you. After a soft thanks, Anran began to enjoy the meal heartily. Before long, the plate of fried rice was wiped clean, not a single grain left. After finishing her meal, Anran also quickly ran to the kitchen to wash the plate. Thinking to herself, if only I could eat his cooking every day, that would be so wonderful. Just as she realized what she was thinking, Anran immediately dismissed it. I'm only staying here temporarily. Once everything settles down, I'll definitely have to move out. When that time comes, I must pay him rent before I leave. I can't just stay here for free forever. Just as she walked out of the kitchen, Anran froze. She saw Su Chen staring intently at that cardboard box. Seeing Anran, I asked, "Did you look through it all?" Anran gave a small start. No, fine. I saw it, but I didn't open every single one to look. I only glanced through one letter. You can just treat it like a joke. I'm going to throw this whole pile away tomorrow morning. Throw it away for real. Nothing in this world is more worthless than returned love letters and gifts. I tossed the box near the door and turned around. My expression changed completely. The disappointment from before had vanished without a trace. Soon it was 12:30 a.m. Turning off the light? Yeah. The room light went out, and the bedroom was plunged into silent darkness. The two of us lay in bed, separated by a blanket in the middle. Anran wrapped herself tightly in her blanket like a cocoon. Today, neither of us discussed who would sleep in the room and who would sleep on the sofa. This is the second time she shared a bed with a male classmate. If the other kids in class found out about this, how would she even explain it? But right now, does she actually care about being misunderstood? Her family had just gone through a horrific tragedy, and back then she had even wanted to die. She had wandered around in her school uniform, crying her eyes out as she walked, ignoring the prying eyes and the whispers of the world. It has to be admitted that, if Su Chen hadn't appeared, who knows where she would have drifted to by now. You could say Su Chen was the one who saved her life. Su Chen. Hearing Anran call my name, I softly gave a response. In the next second came her gentle and faint voice. Good night. This sleep was clearly much more peaceful and reassuring than last night. By the time Anran opened her eyes, she realized it was broad daylight. Just like yesterday, she was the only one left in the bed. And then, the clattering from the kitchen echoed from the dining area again. Anran sat up, tied her hair back, and began neatly folding the bedding. By the time she stepped out of the bedroom, I had already finished preparing breakfast. 2 lunchboxes were now sitting on the table. Pushed the slightly smaller box toward Anran. This is... Anran looked at the lunchbox for her and blinked her eyes in confusion. It's yours, I just made it while I was at it. Wouldn't this save quite a bit of money on food? If you don't like it, then I won't do it starting tomorrow. No, I love it. Anran quickly reached out to hug her lunchbox, as if she were afraid to change my mind and take it back. Oh right. There's also some fruit and yogurt. I conveniently pushed another small plastic container toward her. Anran looked at the food in front of her, her eyes lighting up. It felt as if she had returned to first grade, to the time when her mother was still there to care for her. That warm feeling she thought she'd never find again was now found through a classmate. In the way Anran looked at me now, there was an indescribable sense of happiness and contentment. Seeing Anran's reaction, I became even more certain of my thoughts. Yesterday, I started to suspect that perhaps Anran's soul was still that of a child. So today, I specially prepared these extra things. Look at the result. Anran is no different from an actual child. The two of us freshened up, ate breakfast, finished tidying up, and then left the house together for school. As soon as I stepped out, I threw away the cardboard box, filled with all those painful memories. I didn't even bother to look back at it once. On the way, the two of us kept a certain distance, not looking like we were going to school together at all. Arriving at the school gate, Anran took a deep breath to regain her composure. Class president. Right then, she heard a voice call out. She turned her head to look, and it turned out to be some classmates right behind her. Anran raised her hand and replied softly, "Oh, long time no see, everyone. It really is the class president. She's back at school. We missed you to death. Why did you take such a sudden leave recently?" Several of them hurriedly approached, surrounding Anran. I didn't pay it any mind, and just kept walking straight ahead. Right at that moment, Anran saw me walking up ahead, when suddenly a girl approached and walked beside me. I reached out a hand to catch the gum Tang Ji had just tossed over, and leisurely put it in my mouth. I asked softly, "How'd it go?" "Yeah, got it. It's the good stuff, not bad. I'll treat you to some internet cafe time later to make it up to you." The two of them were walking right next to each other. Anran saw the whole scene. Even when I walk with Su Chen, we're never that close. We always have to keep a certain distance. This was the first time she had seen Su Chen talk so naturally and fluently. That's Tang Ji, Su Chen's desk mate. Ran, you're finally back at school. I was so worried about you. What on earth happened?" As soon as she saw Ran, Liu Xin rushed over to give her a big hug. "Oh, my family had some personal matters, so I was away for a few days." Anran said those words, but her eyes unconsciously kept glancing towards Su Chen. Most of the classmates were gathered around Anran, while only Tang Ji and I were already settled in our seats. Anran saw Su Chen and Tang Ji engrossed in an endless conversation. How do those two have so much to talk about? I've lived in the same house as Su Chen all this time, yet I've never seen him talk to me that much. "Class president, the homeroom teacher wants you to go to the office for a bit." "Got it." Anran stood up, preparing to go to the office to meet the teacher. Before walking out, her eyes were still fixed on Su Chen, but he didn't look up at her even once. An indescribable sense of disappointment suddenly welled up inside her. Anran accidentally bumped into someone, who quickly stepped back and cried out, "Ah, my bad, Anran. You're back at school?" Anran looked up, seeing a male student standing before her, looking at her with a beaming face. It was Liu Yunshuo. Yeah, that's right. My family's been busy these past few days. The guy in front of her was the class sports representative. During the days she was absent from school, he had apparently sent her frequent messages checking in, but she just wasn't in the mood to reply. "Are you okay? You don't look like you're feeling very well." Liu Yunshuo leaned down slightly, bringing his face close to Anran's, as if trying to get a clear look at her expression. Anran took a step back and quickly slipped past him. She said, "The teacher is calling me to the office urgently. See you." With that, she hurried away. Liu Yunshuo turned to watch Anran's retreating figure, the corner of his mouth twitching up into a meaningful smile. In the office, the teacher took Anran's hand, kindly asking about her situation. After a few words of advice, Anran returned to the classroom. Students swarmed around her again with lively questions. I glanced at the crowd surrounding Anran, not finding it strange at all. Luckily, my seat was quite a distance from hers. Suddenly, someone came stomping over to me. He let out a helpless sigh. Kong Yu held a bag of candy and handed it to Tang Ji. "Hey, Tang Ji, I bought this for you." Tang Ji didn't even bother to look up, shaking her head. "Thanks, but I'm not taking it." Kong Yu still placed the bag of candy on Tang Ji's desk, then bolted away. "Well then, congrats on the early diabetes. I just threw out a teasing comment like that." And so, a pile of candy was suddenly heaped on the desk. Tang Ji shrugged. "Let's enjoy it together." I shook my head, refusing her, and pushed the pile of candy back. Then she picked up the bag of candy and gave it to me, saying, "Please return this to him for me. I'll give you a handsome reward once it's done." "Nothing to do with me. Return it yourself. I'll give you that rare mount I just got from the boss the other day. Hand it over." I immediately snatched the bag of candy, stood up, and walked straight toward Kong Yu's seat. Kong Yu was still feeling smug about his actions, but in the very next second, the candy bag he just gave was tossed right back onto his desk. "Hey buddy, take this." "She's not taking it." I looked down at Kong Yu, speaking nonchalantly. Kong Yu froze for a moment, turning his head to glare at me before aggressively standing up, scowling and shouting, "What does this have to do with you?" My expression remained unchanged as I replied, "Nothing. I'm just the one returning it on her behalf. Why do you always like poking your nose into other people's business? Don't tell me you like Tang Ji too." Kong Yu deliberately yelled that last part. In an instant, the whole class went deathly silent. Even Anran's side, which had been noisy, suddenly went completely quiet. Everyone turned their heads to look this way. Both Anran and Liu Xin almost simultaneously widened their eyes, their faces clearly showing disbelief. I kept an expressionless face, closed my eyes, and let out a long breath. Then, I reached into the bag, took out a handful of candies, and peeled off the wrappers. Immediately after, I shoved the entire handful of candy straight into Kong Yue's mouth. Kong Yue, his mouth stuffed with candy, slumped back into his seat. I didn't even bother to say a word, just turned around and walked straight back to my seat. The whole classroom remained submerged in a terrifyingly quiet atmosphere. All eyes were fixed on Su Chen and Tang Ji. but the two of them acted as if nothing had happened, completely ignoring all the attention. Kong Yue spat out the pile of candy and was just about to get up and rush at Su Chen to settle the score when the subject teacher stepped into the classroom. Kong Yu grit his teeth to suppress his anger, blaring at Su Chen with pure hatred before having to sullenly return to his seat. By now, Kong Yu had already decided in his mind that Su Chen was his rival in love. Throughout the entire class, Kong Yu kept glancing at Su Chen every so often, with a fierce look in his eyes, so angry he was grinding his teeth. But Kong Yu wasn't the only one watching Su Chen. Ran couldn't focus on the lecture at all, her mind constantly replaying what had just happened. She unconsciously cast her gaze towards Su Chen, only to accidentally catch someone else, also secretly looking in that direction. It was Liu Xin. She was also stealing glances at Su Chen. I just focused on my studies, because I knew that if I didn't work hard now, everything would go to ruin. If my ranking didn't go up, my living allowance would surely be cut immediately. You're quite the popular one, aren't you? So many people are peeking at you. Tang Ji leaned in close to me, whispering softly in my ear. I gave her a sideways glare and replied irritably, "Isn't this all thanks to your kindness, and yet you have the nerve to sit there and laugh at me? Seriously, though. Yesterday my mom asked when you'd be free to come over. She said she'd cook some delicious dishes for you. Let's make it another day." After school ended, Kong Yu immediately sprang up from his seat, aggressively heading towards Su Chen, tending to demand justice for himself. Kong Yu walked over to my side, slapped my shoulder hard, and said coldly, "Hey, let's step outside for a talk." Everyone in class turned their eyes this way to catch the drama. I didn't even bother to look up, just answering bluntly, "Not going. You deaf? Didn't you hear me?" Kong Yue reached out and grabbed my collar tightly. Ran immediately stood up to intervene. "Stop being so aggressive." Just as Ran spoke up, Lu Yunshuo also immediately stepped in to mediate. He quickly approached the two of them and used his hands to pry Kong Yue's fist loose. Hey, let go. Lu Yunshuo, stay out of this. This has nothing to do with you." Kong Yue tried to push Lu Yunshuo away. Lu Yunshuo's large build meant he didn't budge an inch. Lu Yunshuo spoke. "If you're really not satisfied, then you two should have a civilized match. Arm wrestling, for example. That's what you call sportsmanship, instead of just throwing punches at each other." Kong Yue slightly raised an eyebrow, beginning to feel a bit of hesitation in his heart. "Look at Su Chen's arm. With his shirt on, you can't see anything. Whatever works for me, hey. Do you even have the guts?" I turned my head to look at Kong Yue. I calmly said, "Arm wrestling is fine. Fighting is fine too. How can I get you to stop bothering me once and for all? You decide." Wow, damn it. Kong Yue's anger flared up instantly. My words clearly showed I didn't care about him at all. "Fine, bring it on. Arm wrestle then. If I lose, I'll never bother you again, got it? Hey, while you're at it, don't bother me either." Tanger suddenly looked up at Kong Yu and spoke. Kong Yu's lip twitched. His expression looked a bit ugly. He gritted his teeth and nodded in agreement. "If I lose, I won't bother you guys anymore." Kong Yu sat down in front of me. He held out his hand, ready to see who was superior. I held out my right hand too. Our hands gripped each other tightly. Lu Yunshuo stood in the middle, acting as the referee, seeing both were ready. He declared the start. Snap. In the blink of an eye, the match was over. I won with absolute dominance. Everyone around gasped in astonishment. Then they dispersed. "Goodbye, go home and eat more sugar to get stronger." I waved my hand. Kong Yue left in a huff. In the hallway, Ran and Liu Xin. Along with Tianrun, all three went to the restroom. Tianrun spoke up with a bit of surprise. I didn't expect Su Chen's strength to be that great. Usually, I never see him exercise. He only has that ox-like strength because he's simple-minded, Liu Xin said disdainfully. But in her head, she was still thinking about this morning. After Su Chen stopped paying attention to her, she started to suspect if Su Chen and Tangji were dating. Today, her suspicion grew even deeper. "Hey. Ran, what kind of person do you think Su Chen is? Isn't he a good match for Liu Xin?" Tianrun asked and ran with a sly smile. Thought Ran wouldn't answer.
Nhưng cô ấy lại nghiêm túc gật đầu.
Replying, I think he really is a bit taciturn, but he's definitely a very good person. As for the thing with Liu Xin, I don't think they're a match at all. Liu Xin clapped her hands and told Tianrun, "See, I told you it wasn't a match." In her heart, Ran silently added, "Sorry, Liu Xin. I feel like you don't deserve the feelings he gave." Tianrun nodded helplessly. Right, not a match. You should be with Lu Yunshuo. A dazzlingly handsome guy like that is a better fit. Lu Yunshuo, stop joking. Everyone knows he likes Ran. Then he definitely belongs to Ran Ran. Liu Xin gave a meaningful smile, and Anne Ran, upon hearing that, slowly shook her head no. I don't like him. So what kind of person do you like? Anne Ran was stunned for a moment, thought for a while, and then said softly, someone straightforward. Someone with their own opinions, who knows how to care for others. Self-disciplined and a bit masculine too. Who? Is there any guy in our class like that? I'm just saying that's the type I like. I didn't say it was anyone specific. Anne Ran hurriedly explained further. It was lunchtime already. Anne Ran had been looking forward to lunch since early this morning. After all, Su Chen personally made this for her. She took the lunchbox out from her desk drawer, placed it on the table. After opening the lid, a bounty of delicious food appeared right before her eyes. Her eyes lit up. It felt like just one look was enough to make her mouth water. Hey, Ran Ran, why did you bring lunch today? Liu Xin saw the lunchbox on Anne Ran's desk, asked with surprise. In her memory, it seemed like only Su Chen in the whole class brought his own lunch. Oh, I just suddenly felt like it. Let me have a taste. Did your mom make this? Liu Xin looked at Anne Ran, then looked at the meal and asked with a smile. No, I made it myself. Really? Let me try it. Liu Xin picked up her chopsticks and put a small piece in her mouth. You really made this yourself? Yeah, why? Nothing. It's just that the flavor seems a bit familiar. But it's really delicious. You're so talented, wow. It's just average. Anne Ran felt a bit panicked inside. Liu Xin went back to her seat. Then she turned her head and glanced at Su Chen. Seeing him eating lunch too, she couldn't help but frown. It seemed she was thinking about something. Anne Ran ate every single bite, finished her yogurt, finally lay down on the desk, content. A gentle smile played on her lips. Waiting until the afternoon, there was a PE class. Everyone flocked to the schoolyard to play to their heart's content. The boys took basketballs to the court, while I sat in the shade and picked up a book to read. Hey, look over there. Su Chen is reading a book over there. He doesn't look like he's just pretending. It seems he's really started studying seriously. Tianrun pointed towards Su Chen sitting in the shade, speaking to Liu Xin and An Ran standing next to her. An Ran nodded slightly. Only she knew how hard Su Chen had been working. But Liu Xin didn't seem to care much. Pulling An Ran and Tianrun, she said, Hey, let's go watch the guys play basketball. An Ran wasn't very willing, but Liu Xin pulled her along anyway. Compared to watching those boys play, she actually wanted to go read with Su Chen more. The three of them went to the side of the basketball court. Lu Yunshuo. When he glimpsed An Ran standing by the court, it was as if his body had been injected with chicken blood. He began to get extremely excited. He even wanted to show off with an epic slam dunk. Unfortunately, he failed miserably, so he started blaming others for bad passes. I was still focused on reviewing my lessons. Just as I flipped to the next page, a basketball suddenly flew right into my lap. I squinted my eyes and looked up. The person standing in front of me was Tang Ji. Play for a bit, let's see if your skills have declined at all. I immediately closed the book, set it aside, and stood up. Don't be like when you were little, crying and running home after losing. Well, you'll have to beat me first before you talk. I took off my outer jacket, wearing only a short-sleeved shirt. My firm chest and muscular arms were clearly visible. Tang Ji and I went to another basketball court together. The boys playing over there suddenly glanced over. Their eyes widened in shock, tapping the person next to them and whispering, Hey, look who's over there. Her legs are literally glowing white. After seeing Tang Zhu not far away, their eyes popped out too. That's Tang Zhu. Holy crap, for real? Although I usually like girls with long hair, now short hair is also approved. Short hair looks even better. Lu Yunshuo followed everyone's gaze. His eyeballs almost fell out. The three girls standing there watching, when they followed the gaze, their level of shock was no less than those boys. When An Ran saw the person next to Tang Zhu was Su Chen, her mood suddenly plummeted, and Liu Xin had already furrowed her brows. She didn't understand why she felt so extremely uncomfortable, extremely annoyed even, like something that belonged to her had been snatched away, carried off by someone else. She bit her lip hard. Cold glint appeared in her deep eyes. Let's go. Let's go check out the basketball court. Tang Ji and I hadn't even started competing when the side of the court was already packed with people. Those boys who were playing earlier had all abandoned their game to come here, flocking here to stare at her legs. I mean, watch the game. Are we still doing this? With so many people watching, I feel a bit self-conscious. Since when did you start caring about other people's gazes? Fair enough, let's go. The two of them began an intense one-on-one. That ball is so white. Oh wait, I mean, those legs shoot really accurately. The boys on the sidelines kept gasping in awe. They started clapping and cheering enthusiastically for Tang Ji. Lu Yunshuo stood behind the crowd biting his lip, so anxious he couldn't help but stomp his feet. He had originally wanted to show off in front of An Ran, but why has this become Su Chen's stage? The game was at its most critical stage. Right at the climax, a high leap followed by a powerful dunk, accompanied by a loud, echoing bang. Spiderweb cracks rapidly spread across the backboard. It shattered completely in an instant. Shards of glass scattered all over the ground. Everyone around gasped in horror together. Everyone froze, staring blankly. Utterly stunned, so shocked they couldn't close their mouths. The girls were especially startled. This was the first time they had seen someone dunk so hard the backboard shattered. Lu Yunshuo and Kong Yue were green with envy. Looking at Su Chen now, Lu Yunshuo thought to himself, thinking about how he had just failed his dunk. At this moment, he just wanted to find a hole and crawl into it. Tang Ji walked over, brushed the glass shards off me, and said, "All right, you win, I'm impressed. Just now when he jumped high, I think I saw his abs." And run, excitedly shook Liu Xin's arm next to her, looking like a total fangirl jumping for joy. Liu Xin still hadn't snapped out of it. Her eyes were glued to Su Chen's silhouette, for some reason. She felt that Su Chen before her eyes was so unfamiliar. An Ran saw the crowd of girls gathered around, showing clear looks of admiration. For some reason, a strange feeling welled up in her heart. PE class ended just like that. I took the initiative to apologize. In the end, the school only gave a light reprimand. The day went by very quickly. It was time to leave school again. I always had a hunch that I would definitely be surrounded after school, so the moment school was out, I packed my things and left the classroom instantly. An Ran saw Su Chen leave like a flash. Suddenly, she felt a bit flustered. Quickly threw her bag over her shoulder to give chase. "Hey, An Ran, wait a second. Let's go home together." Liu Xin saw An Ran in such a hurry and hurriedly called out to her. An Ran, worried about being exposed, stopped and left behind a sentence, "I have business after school. I'm going first." After saying that, she vanished from the classroom. Lu Yunshuo intended to follow. What business? What could there be this late? Liu Xin felt An Ran's mood was a bit strange. An Ran chased all the way to the school gate, chasing in the direction of Su Chen's house. Before she finally spotted Su Chen's figure, she hurriedly ran up, "Wait for me." "Why are you going so fast?" Looking at the panting An Ran, I asked in surprise. What's the rush? It's not like you don't know where I live. Couldn't you just take your time?" Well, about that. Hearing me say that, An Ran felt it made sense. However, thinking about being able to go home with Su Chen after school, she didn't think twice and immediately gave chase. "You didn't get hurt, did you?" "No." "That's good. Oh, right. I ate every last bit of today's meal. It was delicious." "Got it," I replied curtly, making An Ran feel a bit let down. She couldn't help but associate it with Su Chen and Tang Ji. The two of them chatted so naturally. Why was it like this when talking to her? So the suspicion in her heart made her unable to resist asking. "Let me ask you something. Don't be mad. Do you like Tang Ji?" I frowned slightly. "Why would you think that? Is it because of what Kong Yue shouted today?" "No, it's because I saw you talking to her so naturally. You can talk about so many things together, and you walk quite close together. But with me, it's always a bit." When An Ran said these words, she looked as if she were jealous. I shook my head vigorously, explaining that it's because you and I aren't that close yet. I'm usually quiet around strangers or people and not close with. Tang Ji and I are already so familiar. So, do you like her? In what sense are you implying? If as friends, then I quite like her. She could be considered my best friend, because I don't have many friends anyway. As for romantic feelings, absolutely not. I answered extremely decisively, leaving An Ran a bit incredulous. "You've really never thought about it, not even a bit." "Really? But I see your relationship with her is so good. She gets good grades and she's pretty too. Plus, her athletic ability is top-notch, I think. She's not inferior to Liu Xin in any way. You should like her, right?" Never thought about being with her. I shook my head in denial again. Not at all. My dad would kill me if I did that. Why? Because that would be immoral. Who dates their own cousin? And Ran immediately stopped in her tracks, eyes wide, her face full of shocked horror. Cousin? Her mother is my father's sister. She's my father's younger cousin. Her mother was afraid that with her personality she wouldn't make any friends, afraid she'd have no one to talk to. So she asked the teacher to seat the two of us together. Otherwise, why do you think we could sit at the same desk forever? Without ever having our seats changed, Ayn Rand finally understood everything. It was as if a weight had just been lifted from her heart. Her conversational tone changed accordingly, becoming much more relaxed and gentle. So now you know what today's matter was all about. Some guy screaming in front of everyone that you like your own cousin. He's lucky I didn't lose my mind. And you call that not being angry? I saw you were about to burst into flames. It was really scary. Not yet, not even close. For that kind of person, it's not worth my temper. If I were truly angry, I would have slapped him across the face. Ayn Rand pursed her lips and chuckled very softly. I turned my head to look at her and asked, "What are you laughing at?" And being serious, "It's nothing. I just feel like I've become a bit more familiar with you." Ayn Rand and I went home together. Stepping inside the house, Ayn Rand suddenly felt a strange intimacy and a sense of belonging too, although clearly she had only been here for a mere 2 days. But a feeling emerged, treating this place like her own home. Perhaps it was because Su Chen had made her remember the warm feeling of her previous home. First, I set about cooking dinner, while Ayn Rand helped with the household chores. The two of them had dinner together. I took off my outer jacket, strolled to the bathroom door, suddenly remembered something, and asked Ayn Rand, "Do you want to take a shower?" Take a shower. Ayn Rand was sitting at the desk doing homework. Her cheeks suddenly flushed a faint pink. "Oh, these, I don't need to. They'll shower later. All right? You can use the bathroom, it's fine. There's a proper lock on the door." I gave a reminder and stepped into the bathroom. And Rand's reply was very faint. Even the tips of her ears had turned bright red. A moment later, she heard the sound of water trickling from the bathroom. Just thinking about Su Chen showering right now, her mind couldn't help but visualize Su Chen's physique. With such a muscular, inverted triangle body, how seductive would he look while showering? In an instant, hazy images flickered through her mind just like that. No. Ayn Rand shook her head vigorously, immediately dispelling those imaginary thoughts, silently scolding herself for thinking such things. The water sound suddenly stopped. She hurriedly pretended she was still diligently studying, eyes fixed on the page, pen in hand. A moment later, I stepped out of the bathroom in pajamas. Although Ayn Rand tried very hard to appear focused, still unconsciously glanced toward Su Chen. Ayn Rand suddenly widened her eyes, unable to believe what she was doing. Did I just secretly swallow my saliva? Am I actually this kind of girl? I didn't notice anything unusual about Ayn Rand, glanced at her and went to blow dry my hair. Ayn Rand used both hands to pat her cheeks lightly, to let herself calm back down, forcing herself to submerge in the sea of knowledge, casting aside all the stray thoughts in her head, forgetting all the common joys and sorrows. Just then, she heard Su Chen's phone on the desk ring. She instinctively looked toward the sound, saw on Su Chen's phone screen. A new message notification appeared. It was from Liu Xin. A wave of intense curiosity surged in Ayn Rand's heart. She desperately wanted to know the content of that message. After returning, I took out my exercise book, started preparing to study. Ayn Rand spoke up a bit awkwardly. Your phone just rang." Is that so?" I picked up the phone after seeing the message notification. My eyebrows furrowed slightly. Just took a glance and turned off the phone immediately. Didn't even bother to reply. Ayn Rand was still observing every little expression on my face. Such a reaction made Ayn Rand's curiosity even deeper. I wonder what message Liu Xin sent to Su Chen. Right now at Liu Xin's house, she was lying sprawled on the bed, holding her phone. On the phone screen was the message she had just sent to Su Chen. "What are you doing?" If it were like 4. Su Chen would have definitely replied in a heartbeat. Num zode da nuathim trojoi. And there was still no reply. She lay on her back on bed, used her arm to cover her eyes. Seriously, wouldn't it be so much better if it were like before? Why did it suddenly change like this? Let's turn a light. It was midnight. Both went back to the room to prepare for sleep. Ayn Rand was awkward the first time, used to it the second time. She stared blankly at the dark ceiling. In her mind, she started recalling the things that happened today. Tang Ji, she doesn't have a single friend. Ayn Rand suddenly asked, So if I take the initiative to talk, would she answer me? Ayn Rand really wanted to learn more about her. It would be wonderful if we could become friends. Maybe, but I advise you not to befriend her. Why? Ayn Rand was truly stunned by the answer. She even thought she had misheard. Anyway, it's best if you don't interact with her. She's not interested in friends anyway. I tossed and turned. My tone suddenly changed completely, as if trying to suppress something I didn't want to say. Ayn Rand propped herself up with her elbows, looking at me lying on the other side. Seriously said, "Just tell me the truth. I will definitely become friends with her. You can rest assured." I slowly opened my eyes. Didn't expect Anran to be so determined. Hesitating for a long time, I sat up and turned on the light. Fine, I sat straight up on the bed. Started rummaging through something on the computer desk in front. Anran also sat up, leaning against the headboard, wondering what Su Chen was trying to find. A moment later, I found a photo and handed it to Anran. Anran took the photo and looked at it, discovered there was a little girl in the photo. Looked to be only about 7 or 8 years old, smiling brightly with one extremely striking point, drawing attention. Her left hand was holding over a dozen certificates of merit, and her right hand was holding a trophy as well. Is this Tang Ji? Is this for real? Anran could hardly believe her eyes. The girl in the photo and the current Tang Ji are worlds apart, looking so energetic and lively, and always smiling too. Why has she become so cold now? It's true. I nodded in confirmation. I continued. She is the quintessential perfect child, showing extremely high talent since childhood. Mastery of all 4 arts, zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Mastering whatever she learned instantly. Could easily breeze through any competition. Anran listened intently to my story, unable to stop her jaw from dropping in amazement. Not long after, a bright smile played on her lips. Now I want to become friends with her even more. I need to learn from outstanding people to improve myself. The next morning, Lu Xin stepped out of her house, walking briskly towards school. Yesterday, she waited for Tuo Chen's message until late at night. If it were before, she probably would have been happy, feeling like she finally escaped Tuo Chen. But now I don't know why. Why does she feel a bit uneasy like this? She decided to wait until school. She would ask for Anran and Tianrun's opinions. Oh, Lu Xin's eyes suddenly widened. She saw someone just pass by her. Wasn't that Tuo Chen's figure? Tuo Chen, she called out instinctively. I heard the call. I turned my head to look at her. Then I looked behind Liu Xin. Then I turned away and walked straight ahead. Oh, before Liu Xin could say anything. Someone else was beside her, so early, Liu Xin. Anran, are you taking this way too? Why haven't I ever seen you on the way to school before? I moved. I live in that direction now. That's why I am taking this path. Anran answered hesitantly. She pointed toward the back. Luckily, she had seen Liu Xin up ahead earlier, so she intentionally slowed down, to keep her distance from Tuo Chen. Oh, what's wrong? Did you not sleep well? Liu Xin nodded, replying sluggishly, that's right. I didn't sleep well. The two went to school together. When they entered the classroom, they found the atmosphere quite lively. What's going on? Anran asked Tianrun, who was sitting in her usual spot. Tianrun pointed toward Tuo Chen's group and said, Tuo Chen and Tang Ji are very famous now. Anran and Liu Xin both looked at Tuo Chen and toward Tang Ji. They saw that around this deskmate pair, people were constantly stopping by, from chatting to giving gifts. At this moment, Tuo Chen and Tang Ji both were in a terrible mood. Clearly, this place was a peaceful land yesterday. Why has it become so chaotic today? After class ended, Liu Xin left her seat, immediately going over to Anran. Anran, come to the restroom with me for a bit. The two of them walked toward the restroom together. Just say whatever is on your mind. Anran had already seen through Liu Xin's thoughts, after noticing there were no acquaintances around. Liu Xin leaned close to Anran's ear and whispered, well, listen to me. Don't tell anyone else, okay? The thing is, didn't I say before that I didn't like Tuo Chen? But for some reason. Lately, why do I find him more and more attractive the more I look at him? Keep your voice down. Definitely don't tell Tianrun. She would definitely laugh at me. Liu Xin's face turned red immediately. Meanwhile, Anran's expression was a bit stunned. Do you actually like him now? I don't even know. If I said it's possible, would you laugh at me? Liu Xin looked at Anran. There was a hint of insecurity in her eyes. Start liking. The person I rejected for 2 whole years. It really is embarrassing. Is Tuo Chen playing hard to get? Does he want to make me fall for him? I think that's probably it. Anran didn't dare speak the truth, because last night when Liu Xin sent that message, she had witnessed it with her own eyes. Tuo Chen didn't care at all, and chose to leave her on red, but if she were too blunt right now, it would definitely hurt Liu Xin deeply. So what should I do now? Maybe you could try talking to Tuo Chen. Who knows? There might be a turning point. Even though Anran knew Liu Xin had little chance, she still gave her this advice. Then could you do me a favor? Could you give Tuo Chen a heads up for me? I want to speak with him. Talk to him? Why don't you go yourself? I don't dare to, Liu Xin said shyly. All right, I'll go talk to him then, but I can't guarantee he'll agree. In the classroom, Anran approached Tuo Chen, whispering, Tuo Chen, I have something to tell you. I looked up at Anran, then replied casually, "Go ahead." It wasn't that I was intentionally being arrogant, it's just that I'd been annoyed by people since early morning. Fortunately, the person I saw when I looked up was Anran. If it were anyone else, I really wouldn't have bothered to pay attention. "Wait, Anran. I have a problem I don't know how to solve. Could you show me?" At that moment, Lu Yunshuo suddenly ran over with his workbook, interrupting her. Anran was stunned. Her train of thought was completely disrupted. She looked at Lu Yunshuo with a blank face. "Are you talking to Tuo Chen? It's fine, you go ahead and speak first. I'm in no hurry." "Well, could you?" Anran looked troubled. She was completely speechless. I looked up at the flustered Anran, then at Lu Yunshuo, who refused to back down. I suddenly stood up, grabbing Anran's wrist tightly with one hand. Under the gaze of Lu Yunshuo's wide, shocked eyes, I pulled Anran out of the classroom. Anran was completely stunned as I dragged her away. It felt just like that night in the pouring rain, when she was forcibly pulled home by Tuo Chen. Lu Xin had been secretly observing the situation. After seeing this scene, her jaw dropped in surprise. Lu Yunshuo was even more dazed. The corner of his mouth twitched. I took Anran to the stairwell exit. Looking at Anran, I said, "Okay, speak." "Oh, what? Aren't you afraid of people gossiping? Everyone will misunderstand you." Anran lowered her head and spoke softly, thinking about Tuo Chen pulling her out of class just now. Her heart started racing again. I closed my eyes and spoke slowly, asking if someone like me who's been mocked for 2 years is afraid of rumors. As for you, if you're afraid of being misunderstood, I'll explain it to them when we get back to class. Anran waved her hands frantically, explaining, "No, I'm even less afraid. I have no relatives left anyway. Why should I fear what people say?" "Fine then. All right, whatever you have to say it quickly. Class is about to start." I'm just delivering a message. It's Liu Xin. She wants to talk to you privately. She wants to meet you here at noon." I refuse. "Tell her there's nothing to talk about." I shook my head and flatly refused. "Okay, I'll let her know." After speaking, the two of them left. Returning to the classroom, Lu Yunshuo was sitting on pins and needles. He felt like ants were crawling all over him. Indeed, he was too curious about what Tuo Chen and Anran discussed. What bothered him most was Tuo Chen grabbing Anran's wrist and pulling her away. And Anran didn't resist at all. When class ended, Liu Xin anxiously went over to Anran. "Anran, how did it go?" she asked in a low voice. Her voice and eyes were full of anticipation. "Well, Liu Xin, you should give up on Tuo Chen. Didn't you say it yourself? That you and him aren't a good match. He refused, didn't he?" Liu Xin sadly lowered her eyes, feeling like she was about to cry. After lunch, the homeroom teacher entered and stood at the podium. "I have 2 things to announce. First, we have monthly exams coming up. They start next Tuesday, so please study hard. The second thing is, the school sports festival will be held at the end of the month. This will be the final sports festival of your student life. The events are all listed here. Please sign up voluntarily. Discuss it among yourselves and decide. Class president, sports rep, I'm putting you 2 in charge of these. Compared to the sports festival, I'm more worried about the monthly exams. What should I do?" I was clutching my head right then, starting to feel a headache. This time my rank has to go up by 50 places. I have no confidence at all. In the evening after school, I left school to go home. Anran was in no hurry to follow. She left with Liu Xin and Tianrun. After chatting for a while, she headed back to Tuo Chen's house, finding that Tuo Chen was already preparing dinner, while the two were eating together. Anran wanted to find a topic for conversation, so she asked, "Are you interested in the sports festival? You're so good at sports, aren't you signing up for anything?" I shook my head and replied, "Not interested." "What about Tang Ji? Do you think she'll want to participate?" "Her? Well, be lucky if she doesn't fake an illness to skip that day. And you want her to sign up for a competition? No way." Anran looked intrigued and raised an eyebrow, asking, "Why are you so sure it's impossible?" "Well, I can even bet with you. If she participates, then I'll participate too, okay? Deal. It's a decision then." After finishing dinner, Anran and I sat down at the desk to study. Anran looked at the clock, then at the profile of Tuo Chen's face. She looked like she wanted to say something but hesitated. After hesitating for a few seconds, she slowly spoke up, asking softly, "Could I take a shower?" "Yeah, of course. Go ahead and shower." I was slightly taken aback. If you want a shower, just take one. Why even bother asking me? But of course, Anran felt the need to ask. Deep down, she couldn't truly treat this place as her own home. Okay, I'll go then. Unran slowly stood up and walked into the bathroom, locking the bathroom door tight. Looking over Tuo Chen's toiletries, no new shampoo or body wash had been bought. She cracked the bathroom door open and poked her head out, looking toward Tuo Chen sitting at the desk, whispering, "Could I use your shampoo and body wash?" "Sure," I replied without even looking up. After getting permission, Anran closed the door. A moment later, the sound of running water came from the bathroom, even though the door was locked. Just thinking of Tuo Chen sitting right outside made Anran's heart pound incessantly. After showering, she saw Tuo Chen still diligently studying there. She felt Tuo Chen was pushing himself too hard. Balancing rest and study is very important. "I see there's a computer in your room. Don't you usually play on it? Isn't the exam coming up?" "I don't have time to play anymore." I recalled how I used to dive into the computer the moment I got home, grinding games all night with Tang Zi. "You don't have to study all the time, it's exhausting. Why don't you take a break and play for a bit?" I put down my pen, looking up at Anran, tentatively asking, "Really? Is it really okay?" "Of course. You've been studying for so long. It's time to play a little. It's just to relax your mind, so you can study more effectively afterward. Then, I guess I'll listen to you." Hee, just for a bit. I jumped up and went straight into the room. Anran was a bit stunned. She didn't expect Tuo Chen to actually listen to her like that. She followed him into the room as well, sitting on the bed intending to watch what Tuo Chen would play. Unexpectedly, once inside, Anran was dumbfounded. "Hello, can you hear me?" I opened the game and turned on the mic. "I hear you. Why are you online today? Aren't you frantically busy studying?" "Study must go with practice and play must go with rest. Then come help me with this quest. I've been waiting forever." Anran was taken aback when she heard the voice from the mic. So Tuo Chen was playing games with Tang Zi. She quietly sat to the side to observe, not daring to make a sound, afraid of being discovered by Tang Zi on the other end. "Oh gosh, Mom, what are you doing?" At that moment, Anran suddenly heard through the headphones Tang Zi's voice ringing out. Then the sound on the other end changed to a woman's voice. "Is that Xiao Chen, dear?" Hearing that, my eyes widened, raising my eyebrows in surprise, then hurriedly replying, "Yes. Yes, Auntie, it's me, Xiao Chen. See, I thought I heard your voice earlier. When are you coming over to visit? Both your uncle and I have been talking about you. Come over, I'll cook some delicious dishes for you." The woman's voice was extremely gentle, so very soft. "Auntie, next weekend I'll come over." "All right, it's a promise then. I'll go to the market early next weekend. You absolutely must come." "Yes, Auntie, I'll definitely be there." Anran sat nearby listening. She couldn't help but show a look of admiration. Her eyes suddenly became glazed with mist, as if about to overflow with tears. I glanced over, clearly seeing Anran's current state. I said into the mic, "That's it for now. I'm logging off. Yeah. Bye-bye." Then I shut down the computer. Anran hurriedly turned her face away, not wanting me to see her like this. After turning off the computer, I looked at her, saying softly, "I think we need to talk for a bit." Talk? Talk about what? As soon as Anran opened her mouth, tears uncontrollably began to fall. Her nose stung, and her voice was choked with emotion. "About your situation, of course. Surely there's still a lot you haven't explained. Like why you have no place to stay." Although my heart was always full of these questions, I was afraid of touching Anran's pain, so I've kept them to myself all this time. But today I felt it was time for her to let it all out. At least if someone listens, her heart will be lighter. Otherwise, she will forever have to bear this sorrow and pain alone. I don't want to talk. Anran buried her head low. Tears continued to fall incessantly. She sobbed uncontrollably. She had tried to push those things aside, determined never to mention them again. I seemed to guess that Anran didn't want to speak. I stood up and walked to the bedside, then reached out and patted her shoulder gently. "Don't you want to look toward the future? Then you must speak about it. Why carry all the sorrow alone? You can talk to me anytime. At least there will be someone who understands your heart." Anran looked up. Tears still clung to the corners of her eyes. But when she saw Tuo Chen's gaze, for some reason, deep within her heart, pain seemed to have lessened by half. "I have no place to stay, because I truly don't have a home anymore. That house doesn't belong to me. I can't stay there anymore." "Then who does it belong to?" I was a bit curious. It seemed there was a complicated story behind this. I took a few tissues, handing them to Ayn Rand so she could wipe her tears. Waiting until her mood calmed down a bit, she slowly began. My family is a remarried family. In my mother's child from her previous marriage, my stepfather also had a child, but that child lived with his ex-wife. After my parents died, my stepfather's ex-wife brought her son back to take over the house because her name was still on the deed. She was a co-owner. She didn't claim the house during the divorce, but now they've come back to take it by any means. I had no way to stop them. That's why I have no place to live. My eyebrows furrowed deeply. My expression was very grim. How could people be so outrageous? Didn't she intend to compensate you at all? Ayn Rand shook her head in extreme disappointment. My mother remarried my stepfather. Everyone in the family opposed it. So now, no one cares about what happens to me. Behind my back, they all call me an unwanted child. What about your biological father? I can't find him, and there's no contact information. It's been many years since I last saw him. And even if I saw him again, he probably wouldn't care for me. After pouring out her heart, Ayn Rand's mood had clearly stabilized much more. Perhaps because these words had been suppressed for so long, it had truly exhausted her. I nodded quietly, as if having understood all of Ayn Rand's feelings. Truly was unexpected that Ayn Rand had to bear such heavy life pressures. I had thought she couldn't escape the pain, always in tears, because she lacked the courage to face reality, that the resilient side of her soul was still a bit lacking. But now I've changed my perspective, completely changing my thoughts about Ayn Rand, having gone through all these terrible things, without a place to shelter in the pouring rain. Even though her life could be threatened right before her eyes, she only chose to cry, only using that method to release her own pressures and sorrows. Now she can even attend school normally. She can still smile. She really is too resilient. Resilient enough that I have to see her in a different light. Thinking of this, in my heart I made a final decision. If fate has arranged for me to help Ayn Rand, then I certainly can't let her stay stuck like this forever. I patted Ayn Rand's shoulder gently and said, "Don't think about it anymore. You don't need to worry about anything. They'll take care of all your food and shelter. You don't even have to worry about living expenses. I'll give them to you. Just like this until you start working and can support yourself. Just focus on your studies. Just living well is enough." Ayn Rand looked up. Her eyes were immediately filled with shock. Her whole face showed sheer disbelief. She stood there with her mouth agape. "Don't worry. My family situation is quite stable. My parents give me a lot of pocket money every month. If you play games, you'd know just by looking at my in-game gear. I'll share half of my living allowance with you every month." Ayn Rand hurriedly waved her hands in refusal. "No, no, no. How could that be right? We're just classmates. I can't accept you being this good to me." She couldn't believe that Tua Chen could make such a commitment to her. "Stop it. Don't argue with me. You know you can't win an argument against me. My stubbornness is my biggest flaw." Ayn Rand understood this truth well. She couldn't debate against me anyway. Besides, she was now living in someone else's home. The most important thing was to obey the owner of this house. She lowered her head. Her voice was as tiny as a mosquito's buzz. "Then what do you need me to do?" "What to do? Isn't it that when a man supports a woman, they usually ask for that kind of favor?" Ayn Rand knew that once she accepted, she would certainly have to trade with corresponding conditions. There's no reward without labor. When saying this, her face turned crimson all the way to her ears. She didn't dare look into my eyes at all. I rubbed my chin, saying casually, using the word support isn't quite right, but I truly do need you to do something for me. You tell me. And Rand's face was so red it looked ready to bleed, looking exactly like a frightened little fawn. If it were anyone else, she might have refused immediately without a second thought. But because it was Tua Chen, deep down she was willing to agree. I nodded and said, "Well, my family said if I don't go up 50 ranks this monthly exam, they'll cut my living allowance. So to protect our allowance, help me study. Try your best from now until the exam. Help me improve my grades as smoothly as possible." Early the next morning, Tua Chen and Ayn Rand left the house together, ready to head to school. I noticed Ayn Rand's state. It felt like all her pressure had been lifted. She looked incredibly relieved. A gentle smile always played on her lips. "Today is Saturday. School lets out this afternoon. We have tomorrow off. These 2 days are truly important. Please help me with my review." Ayn Rand turned her head to look at me and gave a firm, gentle nod. She softly agreed. In the past, every morning on the way to school, we always maintained a certain distance. That was because Ayn Rand did it on purpose, because she was afraid Liu Xin would see and become suspicious. But this morning, Ayn Rand kept walking close by my side. I glanced at her, and then I spoke up. "Aren't you afraid others will see us going to school together?" "Going to school? I'm not afraid. What's wrong with classmates going to school together? Yeah, that's true. And so, we both walked into the school together. Right at that moment, they saw a familiar figure up ahead. As soon as they realized who it was, and Ran's eyes immediately lit up. Is that Tang Ji? Yeah, can I go talk to her for a bit? Of course, after getting my permission. Anne Ran excitedly ran after Tang Ji. She hadn't forgotten Su Chen's promise from yesterday. At the sports festival, if she could get Tang Ji to participate, then he would participate too. Anne Ran ran up to Tang Ji's side. She called out a greeting. Hello. Tang Ji was stunned for a moment. Then she suddenly leaned in close to An Ran. She leaned her head over, sniffing the scent on An Ran. Then she flashed a meaningful smile. Seeing that smile, An Ran felt a shiver down her spine. She forced a smile, trying to ask calmly, Is something wrong? How does it feel living at Su Chen's house? The feeling. An Ran's eyes widened. Her face was full of terror. Her mind suddenly went blank. Her face was pale at first, but then it immediately flushed bright red from embarrassment. How did you know I was at Su Chen's house? Just a guess. It's just a guess. How could you guess so accurately? Well, the scent on you is exactly the same as the scent on Su Chen. You use the same body wash, right? I'm his deskmate. Since I sit the closest, it's easy for me to smell it. Just from that, you guessed it. Tang Ji's face clearly showed a meaningful smile. She gave a slight shrug. Her expression looked a bit triumphant. It was as if a child had just successfully pulled off a prank. An Ran immediately shut her mouth tight. This was the first time she truly felt what it was like to be crushed intellectually. Tang Ji didn't seem to want to stop there. She reached out and grabbed An Ran's wrist. An Ran looked up and saw Tang Ji wearing a mischievous grin. She whispered, All right. Quick, tell me everything. Why did you go to live at Su Chen's house? Surely you know what kind of relationship Su Chen and I have, right? Yeah, and so all the way to class. An Ran told Tang Ji everything. After hearing about An Ran's heartbreaking circumstances, Tang Ji's expression also turned solemn. My condolences. Tang Ji gently patted An Ran's shoulder. After entering the classroom, I immediately noticed that Tang Ji's expression was a bit strange, so I asked her what was going on. Tang Ji glanced at me. Then she said in a low voice, No wonder you don't have time to play games with me anymore. Turns out you're hiding a beauty in your golden house. I frowned slightly. It only took a few seconds for me to understand the whole situation. I already knew I couldn't hide this from Tang Ji for long. She would find out sooner or later anyway. Sorry, I don't care about the sarcasm. The corner of Tang Ji's mouth twitched. All right. And I didn't intend to mock you anyway. I've heard everything about the class president. I fully support what you're doing. I looked intently at Tang Ji for a few seconds. Then I slowly asked, You support it? If it were you, you definitely wouldn't do that, right? Correct. Unless. Unless what? Unless you have intentions of pursuing something with her in the future. I didn't respond to Tang Ji's statement at all. Instead, I turned to look toward An Ran. And as fate would have it, An Ran was also turning her head to look at me. After our eyes met, An Ran gave a shy smile. But within just a few short seconds, she quickly turned her face away. My gaze deepened, as if I were lost in thought about something. The next second I spoke, That's why I am who I am. And you are who you are. We are completely different. Of course, just do what you think is best. After the lesson ended, An Ran stepped out of the classroom alone. She planned to stop by the teacher's office, ask for more information about the upcoming mock exam next Tuesday. When An Ran left the office, she discovered someone waiting by the door. Lu Xin? What are you doing here? Waiting for you. Lu Xin saw An Ran leave the class alone. She followed quietly. Waiting for me? What is it? Is it something important? Yeah. Let's talk while we walk. An Ran, I don't plan on giving up on Su Chen. I want to try pursuing him. So that's how it is. Fine, you should try then. Really? You agree too? You think I have a chance of succeeding? I can't say for sure about that, but it's perfectly normal that you want to try. Just give it a try and see. Anyway, it's better than living with regret forever. Yeah, you're right. Receiving support from An Ran. Lu Xin suddenly felt much more confident. Will you help me? This. An Ran was stunned. She didn't want to get involved, but she found it hard to refuse outright. All right, but what can I help you with? An Ran looked awkward, as she kept helping her bother Su Chen. What if he ends up hating her too? That's it. Lu Xin looked toward An Ran. She said seriously, Why don't you help me keep Tang Ji occupied? Huh? Why do I have to keep Tang Ji occupied? I feel like she's my biggest rival. You just need to try to get close to her, just to distract her attention. After lunch, just as I turned around to step out of the restroom, suddenly behind my back, someone had been standing there without me knowing. It gave me quite a fright. Holy crap! I couldn't help but swear and then look closer. Turns out the person standing behind me was Kong Yu. What the hell are you doing? I have something I want to discuss with you. About that, I decided to give up on Tang Ji. I've realized it now. She and I don't stand even a 1% chance. A very wise choice. I nodded in agreement, supporting his thought process. So, I want to change my target, but I want to ask for your approval first. Ask for my approval? What do you mean? Whoever you want to flirt with is up to you. What does it have to do with me? The thing is, I like Liu Xin. If you're not pursuing her anymore, can I start? I was silent for a few seconds and then brushed past him. I coldly dropped a line, be my guest. Don't bother asking me. That has nothing to do with me. Kong Yu felt his time had come. He was overjoyed, as if he had already won her over. On the way back to the classroom, suddenly a soft call came from behind. Su Chen. Huh? I turned my head back. Seeing the person standing behind, I couldn't help but furrow my brows. Meanwhile, An Ran was in the classroom, trying to keep Tang Ji occupied according to the plan. An Ran sat right in Su Chen's seat. Looking at Tang Ji sitting next to her, she hesitated as if wanting to speak. Tang Ji put down the pen in her hand. She looked up and asked, "What is it?" "Hey, Tang Ji, do you often play games with Su Chen?" Tang Ji was momentarily stunned. Then she nodded in response. "That's right. What's up? Are you jealous? Are you even jealous of his own relative?" "Huh? No, it's not that. What jealousy? Why would I be jealous?" In the blink of an eye, her earlobes turned bright red. "It's nothing. I was just joking." Tang Ji burst out laughing. But the next second, she put on a very serious face. She lowered her head and dropped her voice, speaking softly to An Ran. "Su Chen said he has feelings for someone again. Someone in our class, too. Do you want to know who it is?" "Who?" An Ran's eyes widened, her face showing pure disbelief. Tang Ji clicked her tongue and shook her head vigorously. I shouldn't. It's best if I don't say. He told me not to tell anyone. He'll be mad at me if I speak." An Ran bit her lips softly. After a moment of hesitation, she spoke. "I promise I won't tell anyone else." Tang Ji thought for a moment. Then she gave a quick nod. "All right." Tang Ji leaned in and whispered into An Ran's ear. "As for who he likes, I'm not sure, but I can see that you like him." An Ran buried her face on Su Chen's desk. She hid her entire face in her arms, leaving only her two red earlobes exposed. Turning completely crimson, her feet were fidgeting, scuffing back and forth on the floor. Tang Ji laughed so hard she had tears in her eyes before stopping. She reached out and patted An Ran's shoulder gently, consoling her. All right now. I'm sorry, okay? Sorry, I didn't mean any harm." An Ran gave a slight shrug of her shoulders, seemingly resisting Tang Ji's apology. Tang Ji also realized she had gone a bit too far, so she coaxed softly, "Don't be mad anymore. Actually, I feel like Su Chen must have some feelings for you too. Otherwise, he wouldn't have let you stay at his house like that. If I were to choose who is the best match for Su Chen, then I would definitely choose you." An Ran slowly raised her head. She peered with one eye at Tang Ji beside her. "You're teasing me again, aren't you? This time, I'm being serious. I swear." "Fine then." An Ran sat up straight. She thought for a bit and then suddenly realized. It seemed she had just fallen into a trap. "When did you start having feelings for Su Chen?" Facing Tang Ji's relentless questioning, An Ran was momentarily dazed. For a moment, her brain went completely blank. That's right, since when did she have this feeling? Could it be from the words Su Chen said to her last night? At the moment he made those promises, or when he was preparing lunch for her? It was as if he were taking care of a child? Or maybe it was even earlier, like the time he took her home, cooking for her while she was cold and hungry, when he brought hot water and medicine for her, and insistently kept her there. She thought for a long time. Finally, An Ran understood. It was all of those things. This feeling definitely didn't just appear out of nowhere. It wasn't just a sudden burst. From that fateful day she met Su Chen again, she had gradually started developing feelings for him. And then those feelings grew day by day, to the point where she could no longer deny it, that these vibrations were all too clear. Probably since the first day at Su Chen's house. An Ran answered honestly. She no longer felt anxious or embarrassed, because everything she had right now was brought to her by Su Chen's hands. I see, so are you truly content with that? Anne Ram was taken aback. Bewildered, she asked back, what do you mean? Tangji used her pen to point at the empty seat in front. I know what you came over here for, just as you came over here. Liu Xin also just happened to go out. Oh, that. And Rand's mouth hung slightly open. She stammered and couldn't get a word out. You don't need to explain anything to me. Whether it is or isn't doesn't matter. Either way, it has nothing to do with me. I just felt that I offended you a bit earlier. So I wanted to lend you a hand. I know you're doing this for a friend, but are you truly content with this? Tangzhi's question left Ayn Rand completely speechless. Her mind was no longer clear enough to control herself. Everything was a tangled, blurry mess. At this time, I was called back by Liu Xin. Normally, I wouldn't have bothered, but she rushed straight over and grabbed my sleeve, insisting that we had to talk. Su Chen, just say it quickly. I frowned deeply. My tone was clearly annoyed. About that, I know. I've agreed with you many times before, to be by your side, but I've broken all those promises, no matter what I say now. I can't make up for the pain I've caused you, but I still hope you'll give me one more chance. Can we just be good friends like back in middle school? Can we just be friends? No, I didn't bother offering any unnecessary explanations. After saying that, I decisively turned to leave. But Liu Xin was clearly not wanting to miss this rare opportunity. She took a quick step forward, reached out and grabbed my arm. Then what must I do? For you to forgive me. My dark brows furrowed tightly in irritation. If you keep this up. Just then, both of them suddenly heard a very familiar voice. They both turned their heads to look at the same time. They saw that Tang Ji had appeared there without them noticing, and behind her was Ayn Rand as well. In looking for you, come with me. Tang Ji almost completely ignored Liu Xin. She strode forward quickly, firmly grabbing my wrist with one hand and dragging me away. Liu Xin stood there frozen in confusion, staring blankly as Tang Zhi pulled Su Chen away. Ayn Rand approached and said softly, I'm sorry, Liu Xin. At this point, I truly breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at Tang Zhi, who was leading me by the hand, I whispered, Thank you. Tang Zhi glanced back and replied, No need to thank me. I'm just helping someone. It was time for school to end in the afternoon. Fearing that someone would bother me again, I left the classroom immediately after the lesson ended. But I didn't expect Tang Zhi and Ayn Rand to run into trouble. Ayn Rand finished packing her things and was ready to go home. She noticed that Liu Xin's mood wasn't very good. Even so, she didn't know how to comfort her. Just as she saw Tang Ji about to leave, she waited until she left the lecture hall and then hurriedly chased after her. Tang Ji, thank you so much for this afternoon. Ayn Rand walked up beside Tang Ji and softly thanked her. During the lunch break, after long deliberation, she decided to seek help from Tang Ji. Tang Ji already understood her thoughts, that she both wanted to maintain her friendship with Liu Xin, but also didn't want to let Liu Xin get close to Su Chen. Therefore, Tang Ji suggested she play the villain, and that was the reason behind the midday performance. Helping you is a given. Ayn Rand suddenly remembered something and asked, Oh, right. Tomorrow is a day off. Are you busy with anything? Not busy at all. Unless grinding games at home counts as busy, then yes. Yeah. So, do you want to come over to Su Chen's place? We can play together. It'll be fun. The more people, the livelier it is. Tang Ji glanced at Ayn Rand inquisitively, as if to ask, after all that trouble to get a day off, aren't you two going to spend private time at home? It's all the same to me. Doesn't Su Chen need to review? Need to study? Yesterday I told him that study must go hand in hand with practice. He also thought it made sense. Anyway, you can't just keep your nose in books all day. Tang Ji nodded in response. Yeah, it'll definitely come tomorrow. Oh, and one more thing. She took her phone out of her pocket. Should we add each other online? Sure. Ayn Rand and Tang Ji are walking together again. What on earth is going on? Right now. Behind Ayn Rand and Tang Ji, two boys were sneaking along. One of them was Lu Yongshuo. Today, when he saw Ayn Rand sitting in Su Chen's seat, at that moment, he felt that something was wrong. When school let out, he followed quietly. Then he saw Ayn Rand and Tang Ji going home the same way. Since when did their relationship become so close? Could this be related to Su Chen? His friend who was with him speculated. Lu Yunshuo glanced at him, then shook his head vigorously in rejection. No way. How could Ayn Rand have anything to do with Su Chen? They have nothing in common at all. It's definitely impossible. Or maybe both of them like Su Chen. Ayn Rand must be negotiating with Tang Ji. Lu Yunshuo glared at him and said in a low voice, "If you dare spread rumors about Enran again, don't blame me for slapping you regardless of our friendship. Believe it or not, it's up to you. Maybe the reason Enran hasn't dated you yet, because of this violent nature of yours. I'm too lazy to argue with you." Lu Yunshuo didn't bother with him anymore, but focused his attention on tailing Enran and Tang Ji. He was truly curious about what they were whispering about, until Enran and Tang Ji waved goodbye to each other. Liang Jiaxiang gently patted Lu Yunshuo's shoulder, saying, "All right, let's go home too. How much longer are you going to chase her? She's almost home." "A little further, and you'll be right in her living room." "Let me follow for just a bit longer. I just want to know where she lives." Liang Jiaxiang looked at him with an expression of pure shock. Surprised, he blurted out, "If you keep this up, I'm calling the police. Are you a pervert? Sneaking after a female classmate all the way home? Did you skip all your civics classes? I just want to give her a gift. In class, it's awkward, hard to hand it over directly. In front of everyone, she definitely won't accept it, so I think leaving it at her door is best." "Whoa, both perverted and a bit sick. Your face doesn't look like someone who would do this at all. Just think about it. Early in the morning, getting ready for school. You just open the door to step out. Then you see an anonymous gift from a classmate. To be honest, if she liked you crazily, then maybe it'd be acceptable. But if it's just a normal relationship, she'll get goosebumps, maybe even feel disgusted." Lu Yunshuo glared at him. "Forget it. What do you know?" Just then, they both saw Enran enter an apartment building. Lu Yunshuo's eyes lit up. Looking at this, it's definitely Enran's place. "All right, let's go." Liang Jiaxiang grabbed Lu Yunshuo's hand tightly, not letting him take another step. Lu Yunshuo brushed his hand away and scolded, "Are you stupid? I have to see which floor she's on. Otherwise, where would I leave my gift? I give up on you." Both of them entered the building. Looking at the elevator display, the numbers stopped at the 6th floor. "Got it, let's go. Come with me to see the gift." Liang Jiaxiang's face was full of frustration, speechless. He could only let out a long sigh. Enran had just gotten home and hurriedly put her things down. She quickly sat down next to me and said, "I'm here to help you review." "Yeah," I nodded slightly. I turned to look at Enran beside me. My mind suddenly recalled what happened at noon. "Enran, you're Lu Xin's best friend, right?" "Yes, that's right." Enran answered in a small voice. She thought I had discovered something and was about to interrogate her. After a moment of silence, spoke up. "Consider this a favor for me. Don't let her keep following me like this. She's a girl, I can't really say anything too harsh. Try to advise her sincerely. Consider it my plea to you." Enran was startled. It took her a few seconds to regain her composure. Breathing a sigh of relief because she wasn't being scolded, she also simultaneously felt the trust I had placed in her. She gave a firm, decisive nod and said seriously, "Don't you worry. From now on, as long as I'm here, I absolutely won't let her bother you ever again. Thank you." I suddenly remembered something and continued, "Oh, right. By the way, that guy Kong Yu seems to have his eye on Liu Xin. Why don't you try setting her up with Kong Yu?" Enran was momentarily dazed. "I'll do my best." Enran agreed outwardly, but in her heart, she understood perfectly well. That if she really introduced someone like Kong Yu to Liu Xin would surely explode and stop talking to her immediately. "Hey, Suchin, I've invited Tang Ji to come over and play tomorrow. Is that okay with you?" I was silent for a few seconds and then replied, "Tang Ji. It's fine with me either way, but do you really intend to be true friends with her?" "Yeah. Is that not allowed?" Enran lowered her head slightly. Her expression looked a bit fearful of being scolded by me. I turned back to continue my unfinished work. "Of course it's allowed. I even have to thank you." "Thank me?" Enran looked confused. I explained, back when we first started 10th grade. Her mother once asked me for a favor, hoping I could help her make a few more friends, so she wouldn't be all alone at school with no one to talk to. Now that you're willing to be friends with Tang Zi, don't be fooled by her indifferent exterior. Actually, she's probably very happy inside. "No way," and Rand's eyes widened. She still couldn't seem to believe her ears. Not until around 7 p.m. Both of us began to feel hungry. I put my pen down and stood up. "Let me go cook dinner." "Wait. Huh?" I turned back to look at Enran, confused. "Is something wrong?" Enran stood up and said, "About that. Let me do it. Don't you need to make the most of your study time? Do you know how to cook?" I do." Enran gave a firm nod. Then she added, "I just don't know if it will suit your taste." "It's okay, just give it a try." I didn't mind at all, because I really wanted to make the most of my time to study. Anran went into the kitchen and started cooking. She remembered the time she was at home before, often cooking meals for her parents. It's just a pity that she no longer has that chance. Half an hour later, the stove in the kitchen was lit. Even though I wanted to use this time to study a bit more, my attention would still drift from time to time toward the kitchen, because I was afraid Anran would blow up the kitchen like those videos online. In no time, a mouth-watering aroma wafted out from the kitchen. Anran brought the dishes to the table and called out, "It's done. You can come and eat now." I saw that the food on the table looked quite good. "Try it and see," Anran said with a smile. I picked up my chopsticks and took a bite. I praised her. "It's delicious." "Really? I'm glad you like it." Anran's anxious heart immediately felt at ease. She said happily, "If you like it, let me cook for you from now on. That way you can save a lot of time." I didn't answer immediately, but looked up at my gym area. It's been a long time since I exercised. Indeed, time is truly scarce for me right now. But in my heart, Anran is a guest after all. How could I let a guest do the cooking? I spoke up. "Let's take turns. We can switch every day or every 2 days." Anran was dazed for a moment, as if she were thinking about something. A moment later, she seemed to understand my intention and nodded gently. After finishing the meal, the two of them continued studying. By past 10 p.m., they took turns showering. After stepping out of the bathroom, I sat at the desk and picked up my pen. I originally wanted to study for a few more hours, but after a yawn, drowsiness immediately washed over me, taking over my mind. In an instant, my eyelids felt heavy, so I hurriedly got up and headed toward the bedroom. I collapsed onto the bed. Just then, Anran finished her shower and entered the bedroom. Seeing me lying on the bed fast asleep, a faint smile touched the corners of her lips. She softly approached the bed and pulled the blanket over me. "Good night." Anran turned off the bedroom lights, then lay down on the other side of the bed. Unlike me, who was sound asleep, Anran didn't feel sleepy at all, so she took out her phone. She opened it and looked at the chat with Tang Ji. Tang Ji probably isn't asleep yet, right? She had the idea to send a message to Tang Ji. She sent a greeting message. "What's up? Shouldn't you be cuddling with Tuo Chen right now? Why are you free to text me?" "Huh?" Anran's eyes widened, staring at the message on her phone in disbelief. She quickly glanced behind her to see if Tuo Chen had woken up. If he saw this sentence, I would surely die of embarrassment. "What cuddling? We sleep separately. There's even a blanket dividing us in the middle." "Oh, so you two really are sharing a bed." Anran realized she had slipped up. Wasn't this just her confessing everything? Anran knew explaining was useless, so she just told Tang Ji the truth. "Well, since you're already in the same bed, why not just make the relationship official?" "Ma, make it official how?" Anran looked at the chat on her phone, her heart thumping wildly. Was this conversation really making her heart race this much? "I don't know, this is beyond my understanding. Don't you get pregnant just by holding hands?" Anran looked at the message Tang Ji sent, thinking that she surely knows a lot, but refuses to tell me. Anran's phone suddenly fell from her hand. Her hand froze, unable to move at all. Her eyes widened to their limit, and her body seemed to have turned to ice. Because right now, Tuo Chen's arm was resting on her. Tuo Chen had just rolled over, his whole body leaning directly against the divider blanket, and his arm even reached across, resting on top of her. Anran turned her head mechanically, looking at Tuo Chen's face. What should I do now? Should I wake him up? If I move even slightly right now, it might wake him up instantly. He's already like this, so he must be exhausted. Thinking for a moment, Anran let her hand go, deciding to just let him sleep in peace. If I wake him up, I would feel really guilty. Anran stared up at the dark ceiling, feeling my strong arm, which gave her a strangely wonderful sense of security. Just then, my arm moved slightly. The arm shifted upward a bit, from Anran's stomach area, moving up to her chest. Anran's body trembled slightly, her face flushing a deep red. Luckily, there was a layer of blanket in between. Another 10 minutes or so passed, and I rolled over once more, leaving Anran with only the view of my back. Her tense body finally relaxed. He probably won't remember anything tomorrow. But a thought flashed through Anran's heart, that she wanted Tuo Chen to remember all of this clearly, even though she knew it was impossible. After some thought, she gradually drifted off to sleep. At that moment, I snapped my eyes open, staring wide-eyed. Cold sweat seemed to be beads on my forehead. I was absolutely terrified right now. Actually, I was already awake before I rolled over just now, and I have felt my hand touching the little white rabbit. I didn't even know if Anran was asleep yet. That's why I hurriedly rolled over, wondering if she would come to confront me tomorrow. When the time comes, I'll just say I didn't know, that I was fast asleep. Early the next morning, warm sunlight streamed through the glass curtains, casting faint rays into the room. Ran opened her sleepy eyes and walked out of the bedroom. I had just finished making breakfast and was bringing the food to the table.
The two of them looked at each other.
In that moment, the events of last night immediately flashed through both their minds. Though I only remembered those 10 minutes, I still knew what I had done last night. And when Anne Rand thought about last night, her face couldn't help but blush like two peach blossoms. Come on, let's eat breakfast. I felt a bit guilty, so I took the initiative to speak. This was the first time saying good morning to Anne Rand, and it felt a little bit awkward. Okay, I'll go wash my face first. Anne Rand also noticed this small detail and hurriedly scurried into the bathroom. She looked at herself in the mirror and immediately splashed her face with cold water to help herself calm down a bit.
At that moment, two people arrived at the front door. They were Lu Yunshuo and Liang Jiaxiang.
Lu Yunshuo held a gift in his hand and sneakily stepped out of the elevator. As soon as he left the elevator, he started looking around, looking no different from a thief. Liang Jiaxiang followed behind, wishing he could kick him in the butt. Hey, what are you doing here so early? Are you out of your mind? So stupid. Her parents must have gone to work by now. Even if she plans to go out today, she's most likely still at home at this hour. So this is the best time to give the gift. What if her parents are home? How are you going to handle this gift? Then I'm not afraid either. After all, my feelings are sincere, since I've decided to pursue her. I'm not afraid of her parents finding out. Lu Yunshuo patted his chest, speaking with full confidence. Liang Jiaxiang looked at the 3 doors in front of him and said, but there's still one more problem. You only know it's on the 6th floor, but do you know which apartment? Lu Yunshuo's hand froze in mid-air, unable to help but be stunned. He really didn't know which door was on Rand's. It would be an absolute humiliation if he left it at the wrong place. Hey, what did you end up buying? You asked me to come along yesterday, but then you hid it after buying. You even told me it was a secret. Liang Jiaxiang pointed at the gift box in Lu Yunshuo's arms, asking curiously, a music box. Liang Jiaxiang's brows furrowed tightly, his face full of surprise. He blinked and asked, Is there a ring or a necklace hidden in the music box? A bracelet? No, it's just a music box. But when you open it, there's a carousel that spins. It looks really pretty too. Lu Yunshuo felt Liang Jiaxiang's gaze, becoming increasingly strange, so his voice grew more and more lacking in confidence. Liang Jiaxiang took a deep breath, looking as if he were about to die of anger. He pointed at the other boy and scolded in a low voice. Is your head stuck in that music box? Are you mentally deficient or what? Do you think you're an elementary student giving a Children's Day gift? What's wrong? Giving this to the person you like. You don't possibly
Have a problem with your head, do you? No? I think this is okay, though. It wasn't cheap either. Go ahead and give it. Your chances are over once you do.
What now? Then I'll go exchange it for something else. No kidding, of course you have to exchange it. Let me help you pick one. Go exchange it right now. Liang Jiaxiang hurriedly pulled Lu Yunshuo's hand, waiting for the elevator to come up. After the elevator doors slowly opened, they were both about to step forward, but immediately retracted their steps, because someone was standing in front of the elevator. Lu Yunshuo and Liang Jiaxiang were stunned on the spot, unable to move forward or backward. Tangji, you too. Tangji slightly furrowed her brows, looking at the two in front of her with a bit of a strange expression. But when she saw the gift in Lu Yunshuo's hand, she seemed to understand everything. Did you two come here to give a gift to Anne Rand? How did you guys know she lived here? Tang Zhi took 2 steps out of the elevator, causing Lu Yunshuo and Liang Jiaxiang to keep backing away. They didn't expect to run into Tang Zhi in this place. Is she here to find Anne Rand? Liang Jiaxiang glanced over. It seemed like Tang Zhi was holding something in her hand. As soon as he saw it, his eyes immediately widened, his pupils almost popping out.